Champ now.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, ladies, one time during my career, I was on a bum of my tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right, you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to Miss Cass, because without her, none of this would be possible. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cast Sports, the Box Story. Today, the Bob Father has the family today. It's Monday, right back at the beginning of another big week of boxing history. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We're in fight week. Mario Burrios, Ryan Garcia, and that great card. But today, the Bob Father. This is promoter week. We're going to look at Bob Arum and Top Rank today. Tomorrow, Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions. Wednesday, it's going to be Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Thursday, Frank Warren, Queensbury Promotions. And Friday, Al Heyman and the PBC. Now they always say Al Heyman isn't a promoter, but he's still going to be on Promoters Week on Cash Sports. So that's the week. Talk about some boxing promoters this week, starting with the Bob Father. Now we did Don King about a month ago. Remember BBO TV, BBO Sports TV brought us the Don King show. So we're going to do the other big ones today. Well, how's everybody? Hope everybody had a great weekend. We're embarking on another big week of boxing history on Cash Sports, The Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Okay? We're going to get our fight up the day in to start things off in moments. But yeah, fight week for another big 2026 card. Barrios defending against Ryan Garcia. 3 title fights on the card. We got Gary Antoine Russell, and I haven't heard of any changes. Gary Antoine defending against Andy Hiriaka, and Richardson Hitchens defending his title against Oscar Duarte, and Frank Martin. Frank Robinson was a great baseball player. Frank Martin back in action against Nahir Albright. Great card this weekend. Okay, we're in fight week for that. Okay, so that should be interesting. Coming up. Yeah, we're just going to talk about the Bob Father today, his career, early life, founding of Top Rank. Look at some of the big fights that came out of that company. Actually been promoting over 60 years. He was promoting before he founded Top Rank, was a part of a company called Main Belt Promotions. That was a joint venture along with Muhammad Ali and the Nation of Islam back in the 60s, primarily promoting Muhammad Ali fights. His first promotion was Muhammad Ali versus George Chuvalo back in 1966, I believe. And then when Ali got stripped and suspended, took his hiatus from boxing, the Bob Father transferred over to some other fighters, okay? He promoted part of their tournament they had to find the successor to Ali after he got stripped, which was won by Jimmy Ellis. Bob Father promoted the final of that tournament, Jimmy Ellis and Leotis Martin. So we're going to cover all that, but let me stop because I'm getting ready to tell the whole show in the first 5 minutes. Let's get ready to get into the fight of the day then. Okay. How's everybody? Good to see everybody on this side of the weekend. Start another big week of boxing history off. We're in February. Another big, great card for 2026 coming up this weekend. Off to a good start. We had Shakur Teofimo, Xander Zayas last month. And then after we finish talking about the Bob Father, we're going to look at some of the fights because he's still going strong at 94 years old. We're going to look at some of the fights that he promoted recently within the last year. Okay, still going strong. But let's get into our fight of the day so we can get to the Bob Father. Okay, so now, without further ado, today's fight of the day. Now, my Wi-Fi been acting crazy the last couple of days, so if we go out, just bear with me. I'll get us right back in. I'm going to try to anyway. Okay. Today's fight of the day is Roberto Duran versus Pepino Cuevas, January 29th, 1983. A battle of legends. A battle of legends. Duran Cuevas. January 29th, 1983, a battle of legends. Two former world champions, one from Panama, the other from Mexico, both seemingly past their best, but still having fire in the belly. It was 43 years ago, January 29th, 1983, when former lightweight and welterweight king Roberto Duran met former welterweight ruler Pepino Cuevas. Excuse me. It was still a big deal when Duran, who had suffered, amongst other things, the embarrassment of no mas, and Cuevas had been smashed by Thomas Hearns. But the fight would have been afforded genuine super fight status had it taken place 3 years earlier. Still, this fight was very much of a case of better late than never. Duran at that point had a record of 75 wins, 4 losses. Knew he could not afford a 50 feet. Cuevas, coming into this fight with 29 wins and 8 losses, knew it would be nothing short of disaster for him and his career if he suffered another loss. The two fighters met in Los Angeles, California, fighting at a catchweight, with 31-year-old Duran coming in at 152 pounds, and with Cuevas still only 25 years old, tipping the scales at 149. Duran was coming off a shock loss to Kirkland Lang, while Cuevas had not boxed since being beaten by Roger Stafford over a year earlier. Which so-called washed-up warrior had more left in the tank? A large crowd showed up at the sports arena in LA to find out that night, while many more fans tuned in by a closed circuit. It was still a big fight. Duran, as he later showed time and again, was a master at rolling back the years. Dictating the action with his fine left jab, Roberto kept Cuevas off balance as he banked the opening 2 rounds. Try as he might, the lethal punching Cuevas could not get anything going. With the big left hands of his that were thrown being either made to miss or with Duran being able to take them without issue. Duran, who had been stung by Pepino's taunts of being less than macho for doing what he had done in New Orleans against Sugar Ray Leonard, was on fire that night. Round 3 saw some thrilling, albeit one-sided action. Duran wobbled Cuevas with a left hook and then a right uppercut to the head, had the younger man buzzed. Cuevas fired out leather of his own as best he could, but the naturally smaller man had the edge in power, while Duran also held a shot better than did his rival. Always a great finisher, Duran dramatically closed the show in the 4th round. Duran closed the show in the 4th. His punches flowing, Duran landed another big right hand that had Cuevas on Queer Street. The follow-up blitz blasted Cuevas into a corner, the ropes holding him up, and the referee issued a count. Duran struck instantly when action resumed, flooring Cuevas for a second time. This time, Cuevas' manager, Lupe Suarez, signaled surrender. It was over. Duran had revived his career, while Cuevas had seen his sink further downhill. Duran revived his, Cuevas' career sank further downhill. Duran had plenty more surprises and great nights left in him, while Cuevas, though he did box on, lost as many as he won, with none of his future fights being at anything like top level. Cuevas finally retired in September of 1989. This just 3 months before Duran would fight Sugar Ray Leonard for a 3rd time in yet another huge fight. We will never know how different things might have been had Duran and Cuevas fought in early 1980 instead of in early 1983. But as it was, the Duran of 43 years ago had way more left to offer than did his younger rival. Fight of the day, Roberto Duran versus Pepino Cuevas. And there's your winner, the Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran. Okay, now Roberto Duran is always known as the best fighter to come out of Panama, right? And when you think Panama boxing, first thing come to mind is Roberto Duran. But he's not the only great boxer to come out of Panama. As a matter of fact, let's look at some other greats. 4 International Boxing Hall of Fame members from Panama. Let's look at some of these other great boxers from Panama before we get to the Godfather, very briefly. Okay. Some top Panamanian boxers. Since Roberto Duran was in the fight of the day, and he's the best out of Panama. Now, Panama has a rich boxing history, boasting 4 International Boxing Hall of Fame inductees: Roberto Duran, Panama Al Brown, Eusebio Pedraza, and Ismael Laguna. The undisputed top fighter from the country, of course, is Roberto Manos de Pedra Duran, a full-weight world champion, who is often considered one of the greatest of all time, from anywhere, okay? The other notable champions from Panama, other than these 4 Hall of Famers, included Anselmo Camito Moreno, Vicente Mosquera, and Hilario Zapata. Let's take a brief look at the 4 Hall of Famers from Panama. Roberto Duran competed from 1968 to 2001. Known as Manos de Piedra, or the Hands of Stone. Duran is one of the few boxers who competed in 5 different decades. He held titles at lightweight, welterweight, junior middleweight, and middleweight, 4 different weight classes during his career. He is widely regarded as one of the best fighters in history. Okay, another Hall of Famer from Panama is Panama Al Brown. Prize fighter, salute. What's up, Prize? We're going to talk about the Godfather today, but right now, Prize, we had Roberto Duran in the fight of the day. So, and he's always, when you think of Panama boxing, first person come to mind is Roberto Duran, but some other great boxers from Panama too. We're real briefly going to take a look at before we get to the Godfather. But salute, Prize, from the STN network. Another Panama had 4 Hall of Famers. Another one is Panama Al Brown. That's him up there. Panama Al Brown was the first Hispanic world champion, dominating the bantamweight division in the 1930s. Another one of the 4 Hall of Famers from Panama is Ismael Laguna, a lightweight champion who competed in the 1960s and 70s, recognized for his speed and skill. And the 4th International Boxing Hall of Famer from Panama is Eusebio Pedraza. That's Eusebio on the left there. A dominant featherweight champion who defended his title an incredible 19 times. Now, some other prominent champions and contenders from Panama. Just a couple. Anselmo Camito Moreno. Anselmo Camito Moreno, a highly skilled bantamweight champion known for elite defensive skills. Just looking at some other Panamanian greats other than Roberto Duran. Hilario Zapata, a multiple-time flyweight and light flyweight champion in the 1980s. Vicente El Loco Mascara, a former super featherweight world champion. Celestino Palancan Caballero, a former super bantamweight and featherweight champion. And finally, Ricardo Plantifico Nunez. Okay. Ricardo Nunez, a top-ranked contender in the super featherweight division, who began his professional boxing career in 2010 and is still currently an active boxer. Still currently active. Those were just some, since we had Roberto Duran in the fight of the day, just some other great fighters from Panama. So now let's take a look at the Bob Father era. Okay, this is promoter week. We're going to look at the Bob Father and Top Rank today, Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy tomorrow, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Wednesday, Frank Warren and Queensburg Promotions Thursday, and Al Heyman and the PBC Friday. Now, they say Al Heyman is not a promoter, but we know he is. Yeah. We're going to look at him in the PBC Friday. Okay? So let's get into the Bob Father era now. He ain't going to sue me or nothing for calling him the Bob Father. I just counter sue him back. But let's get into the Bob Father. All right. Robert Arum is an American boxing promoter and former attorney who founded Top Rank Incorporation in 1973 and continues to serve as its CEO to right now, 2026, establishing the company as a dominant force in professional boxing promotion. A Brooklyn, New York native and Harvard Law School graduate who worked as a federal prosecutor under Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy in the 60s. Arum transitioned into boxing in 1966 by staging Muhammad Ali's fight against George Chuvalo in Toronto. That was his first promotion. Muhammad Ali versus George Chuvalo, 1966. Over nearly 6 decades, Arum has orchestrated approximately 2,500 fight cards encompassing 27 Ali headliners, including the Thriller in Manila, that was a co-promotion with Don King. 8 of the 9 clashes among the 1980s Four Kings, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Thomas Hearns, and Marvin Hagler. The Bob Father did 8, it was 9 total fights. The Bob Father promoted 8 of them. And 20 Manny Pacquiao appearances, notably the 2015 mega fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. And that fight was boxing's highest ever grossing event, still is to this day. Floyd Manning. Inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1999 for his role in elevating fighters like George Foreman and Oscar De La Hoya to stardom, Arum's career exemplifies shrewd deal-making and global outreach. Although it has involved fierce rivalries with peers like Don King and disputes such as Terrence Crawford's 2022 lawsuit alleging promotional bias favoring non-black fighters, claims Arum dismissed as baseless. At age 94, he remains actively engaged, adapting to streaming eras while critiquing modern trends like influencer fighting, influencer boxing. Yeah, we're going to get into all these things deeper. That was just like a little summary. Okay, early life and education for the Bob Father. Early life and education. Okay. Family background and childhood. Robert Morris Arum was born on December 8th, 1931, in Brooklyn, New York City. He was raised in the Crown Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn within an Orthodox Jewish family. His parents were Celia Arum and Samuel Sam Arum, and the family maintained a traditional Orthodox Jewish background. Arum's early years were shaped by the urban Jewish community of Crown Heights, where he later revisited his childhood home in 2016. Despite the era's notable Jewish boxers, such as those active in New York's fight scene during the 1930s and 1940s, Arum showed no interest whatsoever in the sport of boxing as a child. Instead, baseball captured his attention, reflecting a preference for that pastime over combat sports in his formative environment. Now, academic and early professional development for the Godfather. That's a picture of Harvard University where he attended law school. Academic and early professional development. Arum completed his undergraduate studies at New York University, earning a Bachelor of Arts degree prior to enrolling at Harvard Law School. During his time at Harvard, he developed a particular interest in tax law and received recognition as the top student in both tax and evidence courses in his third year. Following graduation from Harvard Law School with a Juris Doctor, Arum joined the United States Department of Justice as an attorney, serving in a prosecutorial role under Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. His work focused on tax-related matters, aligning with his academic strengths, and he remained with the Department of Justice until 1965. This period established his early professional foundation in federal law enforcement and legal advocacy, emphasizing antitrust and tax enforcement cases. Okay, so let's look at his legal career then. Take a look at his legal career for the Godfather. Okay, graduate of Harvard Law School. Legal career. We're gonna work our way up to his boxing. Okay, government service and expertise. After graduating from Harvard Law School cum laude in 1956, Arum joined a Wall Street law firm before entering public service, following John F. Kennedy's election as president in 1960. He was hired by the U.S. Department of Justice under Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, initially serving as a prosecutor in the Southern District of New York City, Southern District of New York State, Southern District of New York. Okay. Arum specialized in tax law enforcement, rising to head the tax division of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York by 1965 at the age of 34. In this role, he prosecuted financial crime, including cases involving mortgage fraud and illegal profit diversion. One notable assignment in 1961 required him to seize gate receipts from an event tied to illicit funds, making his first exposure to boxing-related financial irregularities, such as profits funneled from the 1960 Floyd Patterson, Sonny Liston heavyweight title fight. His expertise centered on federal tax evasion and white-collar prosecutions, leveraging rigorous legal analysis to dismantle complex financial schemes, which honed skills in negotiation and deal structuring, later applied in private practice. Arum's government tenure, spanning the early to mid-1960s, established his reputation for methodical pursuit of evidence-based cases, though he later critiqued bureaucratic constraints as limiting compared to private sector opportunities. Okay, so now let's talk about his transition to the private sector and entry into boxing. Okay. Transition to the private sector and the Bob Foster's entry into boxing. There's him standing by a picture of a young Bob Foster, Muhammad Ali. That's from the 60s. Okay. What a big thick hitter here the Bob Foster did. Wow. Okay. Transition to private sector and boxing entry. Entry into boxing. After leaving the United States Department of Justice following President John F. Kennedy's assassination in 1963, where he had served in the tax division, handling cases including the examination of $5.5 million in wages from the 1962 Sonny Liston Ford Patterson heavyweight title fight. ARUM joined the New York law firm of Louis Nizer. At Nizer's firm, which had an entertainment law practice, ARUM's initial exposure to boxing deepened in 1965 when a colleague enlisted his assistance to organize in a rematch between Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston, held on May 25th in Lewiston, Maine, amid controversy over the fight's venue due to Ali's draft status. That year, ARUM also represented promoter Sam Mallett in a fight between Ernie Terrell and George Chuvalo, during which he hired NFL star Jim Brown as a color commentator. Brown subsequently introduced ARUM to Muhammad Ali and Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad, leading ARUM to handle legal work for Ali's promotions through Main Belt Incorporation, a company that was owned by the Nation of Islam. Okay, that's how you got into boxing, through Main Belt, working with them before he founded Top Rank. These connections marked ARUM's entry into boxing, despite his prior lack of interest in the sport. He had never attended a live fight in his life before 1965. ARUM staged his first independent boxing promotion on March 29, 1966, at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, featuring Ali defeating George Chuvalo by unanimous decision over 15 rounds, necessitated by U.S. venue restrictions tied to Ali's Vietnam War opposition. That's why the fight was in Canada, because Ali had already, they wouldn't been banned from fighting in the United States. Well, it was due to that. He hadn't been banned yet, but yeah, it was hard to find a venue for him to fight it in the United States. So Bob Foster's first promotion of Ali was in Canada against George Chuvalo. Initially viewing it as a one-off venture, leveraging his legal expertise in contracts and negotiations, ARUM partnered with figures like Fred Hofheinz and Herbert Muhammad to co-promote the event, which drew around 15,000 spectators and grossed approximately $200,000 at the gate. Very successful. $200,000 in 1966 at the gate, okay? This success prompted ARUM to pursue further promotions while maintaining his private law practice, which he continued until dissolving his office in 1979 to focus exclusively on boxing. So his first promotion he ever did in 1966 grossed $200,000 at the gate. So Bob Foster was like, get ready, forget that law practice. I can make this in one fight. Okay. So boxing promotions career. Take a look at his career. So that's when he had never attended a fight before 1965. So now as we go through his career, I'm gonna be showing some of the fights that he promoted, okay? That was his first fight ever there, Ali and George Chuvalo. Initial promotions and breakthroughs. ARUM's entry into boxing promotion occurred in 1966, shortly after departing his position in the United States Department of Justice's tax division, where prior audits of fight-related deductions have familiarized him with industry figures. His inaugural event held on March 29, 1966 in Toronto, featured heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali defending his title against challenger George Chuvalo in a scheduled 15-round fight. And Ali secured a unanimous decision victory over 15 rounds, with the fight serving as a closed-circuit telecast to United States theaters amid growing controversy surrounding Ali's public persona due to his Vietnam War stance. This promotion, initially viewed by ARUM as a one-off venture, leveraging his legal contacts, including securing Jim Brown as announcer, proved instrumental in establishing his foothold, as it generated revenue through television rights and introduced him to the logistical demands of staging major fights. Yeah, so that was a very successful promotion too. Okay, that's Jimmy Young and Leotis Martin. That was the final of the tournament they held to replace Ali after he was stripped, which was promoted by the Bob father. Now, following the Chuvalo success, ARUM expanded his involvement with Ali, promoting a series of the champion's defenses and exhibitions through the mid-1960s, including fights that capitalized on Ali's drawing power, despite escalating draft-related scrutiny. After Ali's 1967 title stripping and boxing hiatus, ARUM pivoted to other heavyweight contenders, notably staging Jimmy Ellis's victory over Leotis Martin on May 28, 1968 in Cleveland, Ohio, where Ellis claimed the vacant WBA heavyweight crown by a third-round knockout, marking ARUM's first world title promotion outside of Ali. And again, that was the final of the tournament they held to replace Ali, promoted by the Bob father. Okay. These efforts sustained his operations amid industry fragmentation, with ARUM handling closed-circuit distribution that bypassed traditional broadcast limitations, amassing experience in negotiating site fees, undercard assemblies, and international logistics. By 1970, ARUM facilitated Ali's professional return against Jerry Quarry on October 26 in Atlanta, Georgia, which drew over 2,000 live spectators and underscored Ali's enduring marketability. Mike Rem is in the building. What's up, Mike Rem? We're gonna look at the Bob father. This promotions week, Mike. The Bob father today, Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy tomorrow, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Wednesday, Frank Warren Queensburg Promotions Thursday, Al Heyman, PBC Friday. And we're going through the Bob father's boxing promotion career now. We're going to be showing pictures of some of his big fights he promoted. That's the fight of the century right there. Joe Frazier got Ali on the mat. Salute Azim Shabazz in the building. What's up, Azim? How are you today? Promoter week. Starting it out with the Bob father. We did Don King about a month ago. Remember, BBO requested that show, so he's not going to be included this week. But yeah, he'll be talked about in some of the other promotions. Now, a salute, Azim. Okay. The pivotal breakthrough arrived with the fight of the century on March 8, 1971, pitting Ali against undefeated heavyweight champion Joe Frazier at Madison Square Garden in New York City. ARUM, acting as a key promoter and Ali's legal representative, played a central role in orchestrating the matchup, which restored the post-exile heavyweight impasse and attracted 20,000 live attendees while grossing approximately $20 million via closed-circuit viewings worldwide. In this 1971, $20 million gross, closed-circuit. That was like the pay-per-view of the era where you would go out to movie theaters and basketball arenas around the country and watch the fight on the big screen. 1971, they made $20 million from that. Which is $20 million equivalent to nowadays. Well over six digits in the million. Well over 100 million. The Frederick prevailed, 15-round decision, right, over Ali in the class of unbeaten heavyweight champions. And this catapulted ARUM into the upper echelons of promotion through its unprecedented financial and cultural impact. In the fight of the century, catapulted the Godfather to the top of boxing promoters. And they hadn't even formed Top Rank yet when they had this fight. Still a part of Main Belt, right? The promotional company that had belonged to Ali and the Nation of Islam. You know, when Godfather did the fight of the century, he hadn't even formed Top Rank yet. This fight not only reaffirmed ARUM's acumen in packaging marquee rivalries, but also solidified his reputation for delivering high-stakes spectacles amid regulatory and media challenges. Yeah, that put him on the map. Fight of the century. Okay. Now, founding Top Rank and expansion. Okay. Now we get to where he founded Top Rank and expansion. That's Ali and Leon Spinks 2, which he promoted. I think it's 2, yeah. Yeah, Leon had on the red trunks in 2, right? I think Don King did 1. Now, founding Top Rank and expansion. Yeah, it was a big deal between them 2 fights, between the Godfather and Don King, too. Yeah, big dispute. In 1973, Bob Arum incorporated Top Rank Incorporation as its dedicated boxing promotion company, building on his prior experience organizing events independently since his debut promotion of Muhammad Ali versus George Chuvalo on March 29th, 1966. That was his first fight he ever promoted, Ali and George Chuvalo. The formation of Top Rank formalized Arum's operations amid a landscape dominated by established promoters like Don King and Madison Square Garden Boxing, allowing Arum to negotiate contracts, secure venues, and distribute fights through closed-circuit television and emerging broadcast partnerships. He did this one too. Ring of Fire, Prior Gray 01. Yeah, that was a Godfather joint. Yes. Top Rank's early expansion emphasized television integration and fighter development. By 1980, Arum launched the Top Rank boxing series on ESPN, which aired weekly undercard fights and quickly ranked among the network's top-rated regular programs, okay? Drawing audiences through accessible scheduling and promotion of mid-tier talent alongside rising stars. This deal broadened the company's reach beyond pay-per-view spectacle, fostering revenue from syndication and advertising while cultivating a pipeline of prospects via regional clubs and amateur scouting. Okay, there's another big one. He did this one too, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. Bob Arum. Geographic and operational growth accelerated in the mid-1980s, with Top Rank relocating its headquarters to Las Vegas, Nevada in 1986 to leverage the city's infrastructure for high-profile arenas and regulatory environment favorable to combat sports. The move coincided with international outreach, including events in Europe and Asia, and strategic alliances that enabled promotion of over 100 cards annually by the decade's end, establishing Top Rank as a global entity amid boxing's fragmented promotional rivalries. Okay? There's another big one, Godfather. James Lights Out Tony, Michael second to none. Key fighters, events, and achievements. Godfather had all the big names. Him and Don King back in the day. Key fighters, events, and achievements. ARUM promoted Muhammad Ali in 27 fights, beginning with Ali's victory over George Chuvalo on March 29, 1966, and ending with Ali's final professional win against Leon Spinks on February 15, 1978. Because, of course, you know, his last two fights against Holmes and Trevor Berwick, Don King promoted those two. So the Bob Father promoted 27 Ali fights. The last one was Leon Spinks Ali 2. Don King did Ali's last two fights. Now, among some of the fights he promoted was the Thriller in Manila. That was a joint venture between him and Don King. That was Ali's third fight against Joe Frazier, October 1st, 1975 in the Philippines, widely regarded as one of boxing's most grueling encounters. Okay, here's another one. The Bob Father, George Foreman's comeback win when he beat Michael Moore in 1994. Yeah, the Bob Father promoted that one. The other prominent fighters under ARUM's top-ranked banner included Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, Roberto Duran, George Foreman, Julio Cesar Chavez, Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, and Tyson Fury. ARUM signed Hagler in the late 1970s and facilitated marquee matchups such as Hagler vs. Hearns on April 15, 1985, and Hagler vs. Leonard on April 6, 1987, both of which he later ranked among boxing's greatest fights ever. Okay, there's another big one. Our father did Oscar and Sweet Pea. Yeah. Over 2,000 fights promoted in his career so far, because he's still going. And we're going to talk about some of his promotions within the last year in a little while. Okay? Promoted over 2,000 fights so far. Still going at 94 years young. Now, key events promoted by ARUM also encompass Leonard vs. Hagler on April 6, 1978, De La Hoya vs. Chavez, 1996, and Manny Pacquiao's multiple title defenses in the 2000s and 2010s. Through Top Rank, founded in 1973, ARUM has staged over 2,000 fight cards and more than 400 world championship fights as of the end of 2025, establishing Top Rank as a dominant force in the sport. His innovations include pioneering closed-circuit television distribution and international promotions, contributing to boxing's global reach. Okay, what we got here? There's another Bob Father joint. Oh, that's Oscar Julio Cesar Chavez. Yeah, Bob Father did that one. Actually, they had two of them. Okay. Yeah, that's the Bob Father's work. The Bob Father. Okay. So, business innovations and industry impact. Business innovations and industry impact. About Bob Father ARUM and Top Rank today. Promoters Week, though. We're going to look at a different promoter every day this week. The Bob Father pioneered the distribution of boxing events through closed-circuit television in the 1960s, enabling large-scale viewing of high-profile fights, like Muhammad Ali's fights, beyond live arenas. Give me before a minute. Okay, here we go. Yeah, he started closed-circuit. He was the man behind that, right? Take the fights. You had to come out. It was the pay-per-view of the day, but you had to come out of your home back then and go to movie theaters, basketball arenas around the country, college campus, pro arenas, and watch the fight on the big screen. They was making a lot of money out of that. Bob Father made $20 million. Well, he didn't get the whole $20 million, but the Ali Frazier fight in 1971 grossed $20 million on pay-per-view. 1971, $20 million. Think about what that is now, $20 million. Okay. And this closed circuit expanded audience reach and revenue streams in an era before widespread cable. This model laid the groundwork for modern pay-per-view systems, which Arum further advanced by structuring fights to maximize ancillary income from ticketed screenings in theaters and venues across the U.S. and internationally. That was a closed circuit. Theaters and other venues across the United States on the big screen and internationally. Okay, not just in the United States and internationally. There's another Godfather joint right here. Barrera Morales. Okay, that's the Godfather's work. Barrera Morales. Founding Top Rank Incorporation in 1973, Arum established a promotion company focused on long-term fighter contracts and strategic matchmaking, contrasting with the ad hoc arrangements common at the time, which allowed for sustained development of talents like George Foreman and Sugar Ray Leonard. Under his leadership, Top Rank has promoted over 2,000 fight cards, again, including 27 featuring Muhammad Ali. Arum, okay, let me see another. Let's get another one. Here's another one. Yeah, there's another one. Floyd and Manny. Okay, that was a joint promotion with somebody. I know the Godfather had Manny at that time. Floyd was with the PBC by then, right? Okay. So, Arum secured groundbreaking broadcasting deals, notably with HBO in the late 1970s, shifting boxing toward premium cable networks that offered high production values and purses compared to free broadcast TV, thereby elevating the sport's financial viability during a period of declining network interest. These agreements, extended through partnerships with Showtime and a multi-year ESPN contract starting in 2017, facilitated over 30 annual events on ESPN platforms, broadcasting accessibility via linear TV and streaming while generating consistent revenue amid industry fragmentation. Yep, Wilder Fury. We had Fury doing those fights, remember? Yep. I think Wilder was with the PBC, right? His emphasis on international expansion introduced U.S. audiences to fighters from Mexico, the Philippines, and Eastern Europe, fostering cross-border rivalries that boosted a global viewership. For instance, promotions of Manny Pacquiao events drew millions in pay-per-view buys and underscored boxing's potential as a worldwide enterprise. This approach influenced the industry by normalizing co-promotions with rivals, as Arum advocated in 2025 for collaborative US-based mega fights to counter overseas migration of events, aiming to consolidate market power against streaming disruptions. Okay. Secure Oscar Valdez, another Godfather operation. Yep. Godfather had both of them at the time. It was all Godfather there. Those two. Arum's innovations contributed to boxing's revenue model evolution, with Top Rank's pay-per-view strategies, though later critiqued for high pricing. Yeah, I agree with that. Later critiqued for high pricing. Initially democratizing access to elite matchups, while his push for affordable alternatives like ESPN Plus undercards might mitigate oversaturation risks, sustaining promoter viability in the digital era. Overall, these efforts solidified Top Rank as a stabilizing force, promoting financial discipline and media integration that outlasted many competitors. You can say that again, that outlasted many competitors. The man been promoting since the 60s and he's 94 years old today, still promoting, okay? There's some big fights coming up. Now, recent developments, okay? Let's look at some recent developments for the Godfather. Some recent development for the Godfather and Top Rank. ongoing activities and deals. In the wake of Top Rank's 8-year partnership with ESPN concluding in late July 2025, the Bob Father has overseen a pivot to streaming-focused distribution models, including groundbreaking agreements with platforms like Tubi for live events and Roku for a 24/7 channel featuring classic and new content. I seen a fight on Tubi last week, as a matter of fact. Boxing on Tubi, the Bob Father. These deals enable free ad-supported streaming television, or FAST, F-A-S-T, access, marking a strategic adaptation to the fragmentation of linear TV and ongoing negotiations for broader media rights that could involve multiple outlets. ARUM anticipates a robust schedule of up to 40 events per year starting in September 2025, distributed across 3 or more partners to sustain visibility and revenue post ESPN. After ESPN. This includes launching smaller scale club shows on Saturdays to maintain momentum during the transition, alongside pursuits of co-promotion with rivals like Matchroom Boxing to retain high-profile fights in the United States, rather than seeding them to international markets such as Saudi Arabia, right? Such as Saudi Arabia. On the talent front, Top Rank signed undefeated lightweight knockout artist Scooter Davis in September 2025, with ARUM forecasting significant potential for the prospect amid a roster featuring established stars like Raymond Muratalla. ARUM remains hands-on at age 94, recently recovering from COVID a few years ago, to prioritize these media negotiations and event planning while engaging in purse bids, such as a $550,000 offer for a lightweight title fight in October 2025, though he was outbid by Matchroom's $800,000 plus bid. Okay, awards, recognitions, and legacy reflections for the Bob Father. Awards, recognitions, and legacy reflection. Technique is in the building. What's up, Technique? How you doing today? Yeah, way more Technique, way more. We're talking about it now with some of the Bob Father's works, man, and promoted some big fights. Yeah. And one thing about the Bob Father and Don King, though, they had their differences back in the day, but they would put those differences aside to make that money. They promoted a lot of big fights together. Like one of the biggest fight of all time, the Thriller in Manila, that was a co-promotion between Don King and the Bob Father. So they put those differences aside when it came to making that money. Some of these promoters nowadays could learn a thing from the Bob Father and Don King. Salute, Technique. Okay, we talk awards, recognitions, and legacy reflections. Okay, for Bob. ARUM was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1999 as a non-participant for his contributions to boxing promotion. This recognition highlighted his role in staging over 400 world championship fights since entering the industry in 1966. His first fight was Muhammad Ali versus George Chuvalo, and he's promoted over 2,000 fight cards in his career. 2,000. In 2011, Top Rank, under ARUM's leadership, received the Promoter of the Year award from boxing publication Bad Left Hook, acknowledging successful events featuring fighters such as Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez in 2011. ARUM's promotional efforts have encompassed approximately 2,200 fight cards as of 2025, over 2,000, approximately 2,200, including 27 headlined by Muhammad Ali. Okay. ARUM's legacy centers on transforming boxing promotion through Top Rank, founded in 1973, into a global enterprise that has elevated fighters from Ali and George Foreman to modern stars like Tyson Fury. By 2020, Top Rank had staged again over 2,000 events, emphasizing pay-per-view innovations and international outreach that sustained the sport's commercial viability amid fragmented media landscape. At the age of 94, ARUM continues active deal-making, reflecting on boxing's evolution from mainstream dominance in the 1960s to the 1980s to niche status, while crediting his legal background for negotiating landmark fights like Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler in 1987. Industry observers note his trailblazing in Hispanic fighter promotion and venue diversification, though his combative style has drawn mixed views on long-term industry unity. Okay, now we got to do this. Controversies and criticism. Got to have some controversies and criticism, right? Wouldn't be right. Controversies and criticisms. Okay. Salute Technique. How are you today? How was everybody's weekend? Good to see everybody on the other side of it. Start this next big week of boxing history off. Promoter Week. Bob Arum today. Oscar, well, Bob in Top Rank. Oscar and Golden Boy tomorrow. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Wednesday. Frank Warren and Queensbury Thursday. Al Heyman PBC Friday. Everybody say Al Heyman not a promoter, but he's going to be part of Promoter Week, whether he's a promoter or not. Okay. Controversies and criticisms for Bob Arum. Rivalries with other promoters. Now, Bob Arum's tenure as a boxing promoter has been characterized by fierce competition with other industry leaders, often resulting in public disputes, lawsuits, and barriers to cross-promotional fights that fragmented the heavyweight and other divisions. These rivalries arose from battles over exclusive fighter contracts, event rights, and accusations of unethical practices in a zero-sum market where promoters vied for limited elite talent. Arum has frequently criticized rivals for prioritizing short-term gains over the sport's health while facing reciprocal attacks on his own negotiation tactics. He's been doing it for 60-something years, so he's been doing something right. He's been promoting since the 60s. He was promoting fights before Top Rank, okay? Now, the longest running and most acrimonious rivalry pitted Arum against Don King, spanning from the 1970s through the 1990s and beyond, when both dominated heavyweight promotions. Their feud intensified after Arum's staging of the second Muhammad Ali-Leon Spinks fight on September 15, 1978, which undercut King's interest following the controversial first fight. I think Don King did the first one. Now, Arum accused King of systematic underpayment and manipulation of fighters, testifying in a 1990 federal lawsuit by Evander Holyfield against King that such tactics were not unusual in boxing, but emblematic of King's con man style. The rivalry resurfaced in events like the March 17, 2018 Jose Ramirez Amir Imam fight, where Top Rank and King Promotions directly competed, though Arum described their dynamic as friendly rivals amid decades of mutual barbs. A pivotal dispute erupted with Oscar De La Hoya, whom Arum had promoted since De La Hoya's 1992 Olympic gold medal win, leading to a purported lifetime contract. On August 30th, 2000, De La Hoya filed a lawsuit in the United States District Court alleging fraud and coercion in the agreement, claiming Arum exerted undue control over his career and finances to prevent defection. Oscar was just trying to start his own company. That's all that was about. The fallout created a cold war between Top Rank and Golden Boy Promotions, blocking potential super fights like Manny Pacquiao against Golden Boy fighters until a tentative 2014 reconciliation facilitated by De La Hoya's overture. Yeah, Oscar started all that to get out of his top-ranked contract because he wanted to start Golden Boy, and then he's going to try to make up later on after he got Golden Boy started. Right, but they did reconcile, facilitated by De La Hoya's overture after he got his own company. Despite joint efforts on fights such as the May 2nd, 2015 Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao clash, intermittent tensions persisted, including ARUM's 2024 criticism of De La Hoya as hypocritical in matchmaking disputes. Yeah. In the 2010s, ARUM targeted Al Heyman, the advisor behind Premier Boxing Champion, the PBC, filing a $100 million antitrust lawsuit on July 10th, 2015, alleging Heyman's exclusive network deals and fighter management violated the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act by creating a monopoly that stifled competition. ARUM publicly labeled Heyman a cancer on boxing for insulating his stable, including fighters like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Earl Spence Jr., from inter-promotional risks, limiting fan-favored matchups. The suit was partially dismissed in October 2015, but settled confidentially on May 19, 2016, paving the way for selective collaborations, such as the 2023 Terrence Crawford-Earl Spence Jr. unification fight. Though ARUM maintained Heyman's model hindered broader fight making. It made Earl and Bud, but Wildfather said, "You still messing up, Al. You still hindering the big fights." Disputes with fighters and regulatory issues. Okay, let's talk about that. Bob's disputes with fighters and regulatory issues. Mike Mazik. What's up, Mike Mazik? How are you today? Salute. Had a great weekend. This is promoter week, starting with Bob Arum, the longest standing promoter of them all. Salute, Mike. Okay, let's talk about the Bob's disputes with fighters and regulatory issues. In 2022, welterweight champion Terrence Crawford filed a lawsuit against Top Rank and Bob Arum, seeking nearly $10 million in damages for alleged breach of contract, fraudulent inducement, and racial bias. Crawford claimed Arum exhibited a revolting racial bias by favoring white and Latino fighters over black athletes like himself, citing instances such as denying him high-profile matchups and making derogatory statements about black fighters' marketability. Arum dismissed the suit as a malicious extortion attempt, denying any bias and highlighting his promotion of successful black boxers, including Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. George Foreman even publicly defended Arum, arguing the promoter had always consistently supported black fighters' careers without discrimination. The case underscored tensions over promotional priorities, but was later resolved without a public trial verdict. Other fighters' disputes include the 1980s legal action by the trustee of former heavyweight champion Leon Spinks against Arum, alleging misrepresentation of purse guarantees for a proposed fight against jury coach Zia, where Spinks was promised $100,000 plus gate percentages that allegedly failed to materialize. In 2018, Manny Pacquiao faced payment delays from Top Rank ahead of a scheduled fight, attributed by Arum to unsigned contracts, though the issue was promptly addressed without escalation to litigation. Teofimo Lopez publicly criticized Arum in 2023 for favoritism of black fighters, prompting Arum to refute the claims as unfounded. Remember Teofimo said that? Yeah, a couple years ago. Teofimo is crazy anyway. But anyway, let's continue. On regulatory matters, Arum faced scrutiny in 2000 over a $100,000 payment to International Boxing Federation President Robert W. Lee Sr. in 1995, intended to secure sanctioning for a George Foreman Axel Schultz rematch. Now, ARUM described it as an extortion response, but admitted poor judgment. The Nevada Athletic Commission fined Top Rank $125,000 and banned ARUM from ringside at Nevada events for 6 months, citing violations of state boxing rules against improper influence. Now, ARUM testified in the related federal trial against Lee, who was acquitted of bribery charges. He was found guilty of something because him and his son and some other officials of the IBF back then served prison time. He was acquitted of bribery charges, but he was found guilty of something because he went to prison. Robert Lee, the former president of the IBF, and his son and some other officials in the organization. Yeah. In 2015, ARUM sued Al Heyman, again, premier boxing champ, $100 million. It was partially settled, and then it was partially thrown out and then confidentially settled between the two. Now, broader critiques of practices. We're going to look a little bit deeper at Bud's thing, Teofimo. Broader critiques of practices. Critics have accused Bob Arum and Top Rank of racial bias in promotional decisions, prioritizing white and Latino fighters over black fighters, as alleged in a January 2022 lawsuit filed by former Top Rank fighter Terrence Crawford. The suit claimed Arum's revolting racial bias prevented Crawford from achieving pay-per-view stardom and securing high-profile matchups, resulting in lost earnings of tens of millions of dollars. And Crawford sought nearly $10 million in damages. It cited Arum's alleged statements and disparate treatment of black fighters compared to counterparts like his grandson, Vasily Lomachenko. I made that up. Counterparts like Vasily Lomachenko and Jose Ramirez. Arum dismissed the claims as a malicious extortion statement and stupid, pointing to his history of promoting black champions like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, George Foreman, Floyd Mayweather Jr. to great financial success. He had a point there. Now, the case highlighted tensions in fighter-promoter relations, but was not resolved through litigation, with Crawford eventually parting ways with Top Rank. Arum's practices have also drawn fire for restricted long-term contracts that allegedly stifle fighters' earning potential and career autonomy, echoing broader industry concerns addressed by the 1992 Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act, aimed at curbing promoter overreach. Disputes with fighters like Teofimo Lopez, who in October 2024 claimed his top-ranked contract was invalid and sought free agency, underscore accusations of unfair extensions and control over matchmaking. Similarly, Shakur Stevenson accused Top Rank of stalling his career progression at contract's end, while Yuriorkis Gamboa bought out his deal, citing underpromotion and exploitation during his prime. These cases reflect critiques that Top Rank's exclusive deals, often spanning multiple fights, prioritize promoter profits through TV rights and event control over rapid enhancement or optimal purses for talents, contributing to perceptions of systemic fighter leverage imbalance. Top Rank's market dominance has fueled antitrust scrutiny, with rivals portraying Arum's ESPN partnerships and title-heavy rosters as monopolistic barriers that fragment the sport to sustain promoter silos rather than foster unified fights. While Arum sued Al Heyman's premier boxing champions in 2015 for alleged conspiracies to monopolize fights, violating the Ali Act, the move was seen by some as defensive against challenges to Top Rank's established TV exclusivity and matchmaking influence. Critics argued this promoter-centric model exemplified by Arum's reluctance to co-promote outside protected interests, perpetuate multiple sanctioning bodies, and avoided unifications, diluting fan interests and fighter opportunities for legacy building super fights in favor of incremental revenue streams. ARUM has countered that boxing's terrible economics demands such protections, but detractors maintain it entrenches exploitation over competitive integrity. Okay, let's finish this off. Personal life and views. Bob Arum, personal life and views. Okay, married twice. All right, personal life and views. Marriages, family, and losses. Bob Arum has been married twice. His first marriage resulted in 3 children, sons Richard and John, and daughter Elizabeth, also referred to as Elizabeth. Or Elizabeth, also referred to as Elizabeth. Drop the E. In June 1991, Arum married Lovey Dubik, do both, who serves as her son served as executive vice president of Top Rank and has been involved in the company's operations. The couple resides in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the blended family is based, incorporating Arum's 3 children from his prior marriage. Arum's son, John, an environmental lawyer born in 1961, died at age 49 in a mountaineering accident. On August 29, 2010, John Arum was reported missing while hiking alone in a remote area of North Carolina's National Park in Washington State. North Cascades National Park in Washington State. His body was recovered on September 2nd, 2010, near Mount Logan after search involving helicopters. John, married for nearly 11 years, but childless due to his high-risk pursuits, had been advised by his father, Bob Arum, against such activities, yet the loss profoundly affected their promoter, who returned to work amid ongoing grief. No other significant family losses are publicly documented. Now, the interesting part: health, lifestyle, and cannabis advocacy. And the Godfather said marijuana is the reason he's living and going strong at 94. No kind of doctor, he said marijuana is the Godfather. He's been smoking marijuana since the 60s. I'm gonna start smoking that shit. God damn, 94. Health, lifestyle, and cannabis advocacy. Arum has reported no major chronic health conditions into his mid-90s, crediting his sustained physical and mental acuity to consistent marijuana use rather than conventional medical interventions. Okay? The Godfather credits his sustained physical and mental acuity to consistent marijuana use rather than conventional medical intervention. Born December 8th, 1931, he tested positive for COVID-19 in October 2025 at age 93. Turned 94, he'd be 95 in December this year, but experienced mild symptoms, recovering swiftly before hospitalization and resuming professional travel and negotiations shortly thereafter. I thought he had COVID before that, 2025. I think that might be wrong. I know he did have COVID, but I thought it was earlier than that. In a 2020 interview at age 88, he described himself as being in great health despite his advanced age, dismissing age-related decline as irrelevant to his daily vigor. His lifestyle remains centered on high-stakes business pursuits, including frequent international travel for boxing promotions and deal-making, even as he approaches 95. Valued at over $200 million by some estimates, Arum maintains a work ethic that prioritizes operational involvement over retirement, often attending multiple events in quick succession and engaging in philanthropy tied to sports. He avoids hedonistic excesses, focusing instead on professional output, though He has acknowledged compensatory habits like frequent chiropractic care for neck strain from prolonged desk work. ARUM has long advocated for cannabis legalization and personal use, beginning recreationally in the 1960s, started using marijuana in the 60s, and publicly supporting its decriminalization by the 1970s. He appeared as himself in the 1975 documentary-style film, The Marijuana Affair, promoting its non-addictive benefits amid era-specific debates. In 2017, at age 85, he explicitly linked marijuana to his 50-year career endurance in boxing, stating it provided relaxation without impairing productivity. By 2023, at age 91, he reiterized that cannabis forms a central component of his health regimen. Consuming it selectively, such as in legalized localities like Las Vegas, while abstaining during work hours to preserve focus. During the early COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, he forewent precautions like wearing a mask, attributing his low risk profile to marijuana's purported immune boosting effects, a view he tied to decades of personal experience rather than clinical data. ARUM's endorsements emphasizes empirical self-observation over institutional narratives, positioning cannabis as a causal factor in its outlier longevity amid a profession marked by stress and physical demands. There you have it, Bob, the Bob Father era. All right. This is Promoter Week, and I read all of them. This one is easily the best one. Probably should have saved this one for Friday. But now, the Bob Father's still going strong, and I'm going to prove it. We're going to talk about some of his fights over cards over the last year, from 2025 going into 2026. I think his last one was Xander Zayas and Abbas. I think there was a Bob Father joint. Let's see. But yeah, we're going to talk about some of his promotions within the last year. Still going strong at 94 years old. Okay. Over 2,000 fight cards promoted. Over 2,000, the Bob Father. Okay, let's talk about some of his events he's done recently. Still going strong. Okay. Yeah, that's him. This one here. Xander Zayas and Abbas. Bearaou. Is it Baru? Abbas. Xander Zayas and Abbas promotion. The recent Bob Father shows. This was in San Juan, Puerto Rico, January 31st, 2026. Xander Zayas is now a unified king. Now, Zayas defeated Abbas by a split decision to become the WBO/WBA junior middleweight world champion at the Coliseo de Puerto Rico in Zayas' hometown of San Juan. The 23-year-old is the youngest active unified champion and the first Boricua to accomplish the feat on the island. Now, Zayas, currently 23 and over 13 knockouts, used his feet often in the fight. That was the most I ever saw Zayas move in this fight, yeah. Mm-hmm. Jabbing and landing short combinations. Now, the game plan allowed Abbas, with 17 and 2-9 knockouts, to overcommit as he pressed forward, and Zayas responded by landing quick counters and fighting the center of the ring. In the fifth round, Abbas had some success with a series of right hands and seemed to gain momentum, but Zayas stayed composed and continued boxing. In the ninth round, Zayas landed his best shot of the night, a perfect right hand that wobbled Abbas. Zayas went for the kill, but a boss survived and dragged him into a toe-to-toe fight. Zayas quickly regained his composure and returned to the game plan, never straying until the final round, where he dazzled the hometown crowd with nearly a full round of tit-for-tat action. The one judge had to fight 116-112 for a boss, which was overruled by the other two, which also had a 116-112. All three judges had a 116-112. It's at like 8-4, 2 for Xander, 1 for a boss. Split decision. Zayas said after the fight, "I feel amazing. I'm only 23 years old, and I'm the youngest active unified champion, and I'm just getting started." When I heard the decision, first judge's card, I was a bit worried, but to be honest, I felt I pulled it off. I won on at least 8 or 9 rounds. Maybe a boss got 3 or 4. I hurt my left hand in the 9th round. I was jabbing a lot, and he has a hard head, so I hurt my jab hand. But I figured it out, like all champions do. Like I told you before, champions found a way to win. A boss said after the fight, "Congrats to him. I'm proud of his performance. He did an amazing job. He beat me fair and square. He deserves it. I will come back strong." Now let's look at a couple on the undercard. Looking at some recent Bob Father card shows. Juanita goes the distance. Second generation Puerto Rican standout Juanita Lopez de Jesus earned the 6th round unanimous decision against Connor Gould, but it wasn't easy. The 20-year-old southpaw boxed from the outside, landing single straight left hands or right hooks to the body. Connor pressed the action, but by round 3, Juanita found his rhythm and upped the pressure, nearly finishing. However, Connor did not crumple under the assault, forcing Juanita to cruise in the later rounds on the back foot. Okay, let's go to another Bob Father, recent Bob Father card. Yeah, the man is still going strong. And what's his brother? Takuma Inoue is a champion. I did not know that. Recent. Naoya's brother. Tenshin Nasukawa versus Takuma Inoue. November the 24th. Toyota Arena, Tokyo, Japan. Okay, just looking at some recent Bob Father cards. Okay, that's Takuma on the left and Tenshin on the right. Yeah, Takuma is a champion again. Remember, he had lost his WBA, but he just won, I think it was the WBC. Okay, let's talk about it. Just some recent Bob Father cards. Show the man is still going strong at 94. Takuma Inoue became a 2-time world champion, topping former kickboxing superstar Tenshin Nasukawa a unanimous decision to capture the vacant WBC bantamweight world title at Tokyo Arena in Tokyo, Japan. Inoue, who hadn't fought in 13 months, was stunned by Nasukawa in each of the first 2 rounds before taking control in the middle round. Nasukawa trailed on 2 scorecards after 8 rounds, but Inoue pulled away in the 10th and 11th, fighting off his hard-charging foe to ultimately earn the nod by scores of 116-112 on 2 judges' cards, and the third had it 117-111. Okay, another recent Bob Father joint. Okay, the ladies. Let's see. Okay. Oh no, it's not yet. I got a women's fight on here too, but right now we got Espinosa. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Okay, Rafael Espinosa versus Arnold Kigai, I guess. Okay, let's take a look at that. Looking at some recent Bob ARUM cards. This was last year, November 15th, 2025. San Luis Potosi, Mexico. Rafael Espinoza, bruised, bloody, and battered Arnold Kigai. It was mostly one-way traffic as the Mexican star defended his WBO featherweight world title with an 11th round TKO at the Arena Potosi in San Luis Potosi, Mexico. Now, Arnold's corner mercifully ended the fight following the 10th round, with the official time of the stoppage coming at 10 seconds of the 11th round. Espinoza, who at 6'1" is the tallest featherweight champion ever, became the first man to stop Arnold, a 10-year pro who previously contended at junior featherweight. Arnold hung in there tough, dipping low and having occasional success with overhand rights. Espinoza, however, was not deterred. In the 7th round, an accidental headbutt opened a cut around Kigai's left eye, which was also already showing signs of swelling. The swelling only got worse as Espinoza continued pouring in uppercuts at a distance. Nearly 2 years after winning the title with an upset over Robeisy Ramirez, Espinoza has tallied 4 title defenses, all by knockout. After the fight, Espinoza said, "I'm happy because I got the result that I expected, which is a victory. I also wanted to put on a show for the people. I could have kept my distance all night, but I wanted to give a show, as always. I know that nobody has ever stopped him before, and I'm the first to do that. He's a powerful fighter, but tonight I showed that I'm better. I still feel good at this weight, but before I make any decision, I want to see what offers are on the table." Okay, also on that card was Emiliano Vargas. Let's talk about that, Emiliano. Emiliano Vargas was composed in passing the tallest hurdle of his young career, cruising past Jonathan Montrell by a 10-round unanimous decision, 189 and 99-90 on 2 judges' cards, to win the WBO Latino Junior Welterweight title. And this fight was, the same night as that one, November. Vargas, the son of former world champion Fernando Vargas, almost ended matters early. He hurt Montrell with multiple left hands to the body in the first round before putting him on the deck, courtesy of a right hand. Now, Vargas pressed the action, but was unable to finish the crafty New Orleans native. The 21-year-old had to settle for a decision after winning his previous 6 fights by stoppage. Vargas said after the fight, "I knew he was a tough fighter. I didn't want to get too crazy. I just wanted to take my time. I'm glad I got this experience, and we're on to the next." Also on the card, Lindolfo Delgado. In an IBF Junior Welterweight World Title eliminator, Lindolfo Delgado kept his undefeated record with a split decision over Gabriel Valenzuela. All 3 judges scored the fight 114-113, with 2 judges favoring the native Linares. Split decision. Delgado, a 2016 Olympian, built an early lead on the scorecards before Valenzuela rebounded to tighten things up in the middle rounds. Okay? Delgado did some damage with his laser right hand, which caused some swelling around Valenzuela's left eye in the 12th round. Valenzuela put Delgado on the canvas with the left hook, and though he done enough to win once the final bell sounded, but it was Delgado who prevailed in the nip and tuck affair. Delgado said, "This was not an easy fight. Valenzuela is a good fighter. He shocked me with a knockdown, but I had a strong desire to get back in there and really win." There were some rounds that he may have won by a little bit, but I won the majority of the rounds. Okay, let's look at another Godfather fight. I'm just looking at some recent cards by the Godfather. This is Spencer versus Mayer. Mary Spencer versus Michaela Mayer. Okay. This was Thursday, October 30th, 2025 at the Montreal Casino in Montreal, Canada. Take a look at it. Promoted by Bob ARUM. Michaela Mayer traveled to enemy territory and is coming back to America came back to America as a 3-belt world champion. Mayer defeated Canada's Mary Spencer by a one-sided unanimous decision to capture the WBA, WBC, and WBO super welterweight world titles at Montreal Casino in Montreal, Canada. The judges had it 190 and 98-92 on 2 cards. Mayer, who is still the reigning WBO welterweight queen, is now 3-weight world champion. Though the smaller fighter on paper, Mayer looked and fought like the bigger woman inside the ring, pressing forward behind a stiff jab before crouching low to connect with right hands. Mayer established the straight right early, then began landing left hooks to keep Spencer on the defensive. The former champ spent much of the fight on the back foot, circling Mayer to find opportunities to connect. She was unable to stifle Mayer's constant pressure down the stretch and was buzzed in the 9th and 10th rounds. Mayer said after the fight, "Usually, I'm the taller fighter, but because I'm usually the taller fighter, I also know how to beat me. And it's never good when you're the taller fighter and you let the other fighter get underneath you. So I knew I had to come up underneath Mary Spencer and just come over the top with the big hooks. That's what we trained for, and you saw me towards the last 3 rounds of the fight, really landing those big right hands and left hooks to the head. I think the most important thing is I have options. That's great in boxing. You always want options. I came off 2 years where my career kind of took a left turn. I had to navigate my way back to this position. So having options is definitely a blessing. I had to go back and go over things with my team. I would have to defend both belts. I can go back to 147, become undisputed there, and maybe come back up and defend at 154. Yeah, she's currently champion at 147 and 154. Mary Spence, yeah. We're just talking about some recent Bob Father cards. Naoya Inoue versus MJ, remember? Last year. He had one after that too, but this was the one in September, I think it was. Let's see. Inoue and MJ. This was IG Arena, Nagoya, Japan, September 14th, 2025. He had another fight after that too. Yeah. Naoya Inoue was supposed to be given the toughest test of his super bantamweight reign by MJ. In the end, it was just another dominant night at the office. Inoue defended his undisputed crown with a one-sided unanimous decision, 118-110 twice and 117-111 over former unified champion MJ at the IG Arena in Nagoya, Japan. Inoue, a 4-time world champion, now has 6 defenses of the undisputed. He had 5 at this time, but he had a fight, another one after that. He now has 6 defenses of the undisputed crown he won in December 2023. He continued that dominance over MJ controlling the first half of the fight with his jab and straight right hand to the head and body. Anyway took charge of the center of the ring, dipping side to side and landing counter left hooks. The consistent, accurate punching left MJ's face marked up and swollen. In the 9th round, Inoue landed a 3-punch combination and beckoned his fatigued foe to come forward. MJ had a brief moment in the final seconds of the 12th round, landing a sweeping right hook that got Inoue's attention. Inoue shrugged it off and coasted to victory, increasing his record in world title fights to 26-0, now 27-0. Top-ranked chairman Bob Arum said, "We saw what a complete fighter Inoue has become. Not only a great puncher, but great strategy and footwork. That's what the all-time greats have. And this young man demonstrated it tonight. The monster, Naoya Inoue." Okay. Oscar Valdez was in there late last year. Another Godfather promotion. Oscar Valdez versus Ricky Medina, September 6, 2025, at the Domo Valladolid, Nogales, Mexico. UD for Oscar. For the first time in more than a decade, former 2-division world champion Oscar Valdez returned to fight on Mexican soil. The 34-year-old beat San Antonio native Ricky Medina by a unanimous decision, 97-93, 190, and 98-92. That was Oscar's hometown, Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. First time in a decade he fought in Mexico. Medina, 10 years Valdez's junior, absorbed the veteran's best shots and often muscled him to the ropes. Valdez struck early, but didn't find his rhythm until the middle rounds, when he began to mix in heavier shots upstairs and to the body. The 2-time Mexican Olympian kept the tempo high down the stretch. But Medina, who has never been stopped as a pro, refused to wilt. Okay, couple more recent ARUM cards. Man still going strong at 95. Another Xander Zayas. This was the one before this last. Xander Zayas versus Jorge Garcia. This was July 26, 2025, at the theater, Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. Xander, now a unified champion. Xander Zayas dominated Mexico's Jorge Garcia by unanimous decision. 116, 112, 118, 110, 119, 109. This was he won his first title, the WBO junior middleweight world title. Okay. Garcia, fueled by his upset win over Charles Conway in April, launched towards Zayas with wildly thrown punches. Big mistake, Garcia. Still, Zayas evaded most shots, soon adjusted to a game plan of quick jabs to the body and occasional right hands. Still, Garcia managed to drag Zayas into a fight, especially in the 6th round, as both went toe-to-toe with hooks in the center of the ring. But by the 7th and 8th rounds, Zayas' counterpunching began to wear Garcia down as he easily outboxed him in the championship rounds. Yep, that was Sanders' first title, 154. And finally, just looking at some past Bob Arum cards. Billy versus Sulecki. Billy versus Sulecki. The Bob father still going, still putting them on the big cards. This was at the Videotron Center in Quebec City, Canada, June 27th, 2025. Billy versus Sulecki. Okay. Montreal-based powerhouse Christian Mbili captured the WBC interim super middleweight world title with a first-round TKO against Polish veteran Sulecki. I don't know his first name. I ain't got to say it. And Billy marched forward from the opening bell, backing up Sulecki with short jabs to the head and body. 90 seconds in, he caught Sulecki with a pair of counter rights. And Billy pinned Sulecki to the ropes again, landing a right hand and left hook to the body. Sulecki tried to smother, but Billy created space with his lead forearm before a right uppercut sent Mbeki to the canvas. Referee Michael Griffin waved it off at 2:28 of the first round as Sulecki got up on shaky legs. And Billy said, "I feel great. I feel very satisfied with my victory. The emotions are still setting, but I'm very happy. I was expecting everything. I told myself that with every opportunity, he would pay for it. I knew that every time he'd leave an opening, I'd take advantage of it. I'm going home to sit down with my team and we'll see what happens next. I think there will be some negotiations for an upcoming fight, but in any case, I'm ready for anyone." You know who the upcoming was? The guy that had the draw with. What was his name? I forgot. Hernandez? No. Remember? That was a good one. They just went at it for 12 rounds in the middle of the ring. Remember that one? Yeah, that was his next fight after that from Billy. Okay, this is Promoters Week. Tomorrow we got Oscar and Golden Boy promotions. Yeah. Wednesday is Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Thursday is Frank Warren and Queensborough Promotions, and Friday is Al Heyman and PBC. They say Al Heyman is not a promoter, but he is. What else is he? He's not a promoter. They say he's a manager, but he's going to be a promoter this week. And that's the week. Yeah. 5 profiles of promoters. I think this one was the best one by far. Bob Arum. The Bob father been doing it for. Top Rank been around for 53 years since 53 since 73. But the Bob father been promoting for over 60 because he was promoting before Top Rank. He got into it when he was working for this law firm, and I think one of the partners at the law firm was into boxing some kind of way, and they asked the Bob father to help him do something on a fight with the finances or something. I can't remember. I just read it, but he got involved in boxing. He had never even been to a fight before 1965. And then his first independent promotion by itself was Muhammad Ali and George Chuvalo, and he made I think it was $100,000 at the gate, and Bob was like, "Hold up, I'm in the wrong field." He said, "I can do like 3-4 of these a month, make $100,000 at the gate." Damn. So Bob father, but he didn't give up his law firm completely until 1979. But he was into promoting. Muhammad Ali and the Nation of Islam had a company called Main Belt in the 60s, mainly doing all these fights. And the Bob father first became a part of that. And then 73, he started Top Rank. Yeah. He did the Fight of the Century with Joe Frazier and Ali. He hadn't even started Top Rank then. But then he had a joint promote. He was in on the Thriller in Manila with Don King. In that fight, he was still promoting Ali, and he did the second Ali Spinks fight. Did some big fights over the years. Aguayo Pryor, Sugar Ray Hagler, Oscar Sweet Pea, Oscar Chavez, Julio Cesar Chavez. That's the fight of the day, by the way, tomorrow. Oscar and Julio Cesar Chavez. And then he did Manny and Floyd. That was a joint promotion. Another, I think it was a joint promotion with PBC, Wilder and Fury, right? Joint promotion with PBC, Earl and Bud. And these 8 fights we just talked about. The man, 94 years old, still going strong. We say that cannabis, that marijuana is the key. Miss Cash got some. Miss Cash, roll me one up. I'm gonna start smoking that shit. Man, 95 and still going strong like that. Thanks. But yeah, that's what he said. He said cannabis, he's been smoking it since the 60s. Nothing to do with going to no doctor or nothing like that. He said marijuana is what keep him healthy. The Bob father, man, yeah. Man, this 94-year-old man's toking on a joint, puffing on a joint. Wow. That's crazy. But yeah, Bob Arum. Just do boxing. Coming up next. Don't forget RNA Boxing tonight, around 9-ish. Like my show, you'll like Arnie's. He's a part of the Cast Sport family of content creators. Arnie Boxing. Don't forget tonight, 9 p.m. VVO at 8. And Just Do coming up in like less than 10 minutes at 4. Yeah. And we have fight week for the big card this weekend. Ryan Garcia, Mario Barrios. That should be good. Oh no, a lot of people are counting Barrios out, but man, I'm not. Barrios is a tough guy. I don't see Ryan stopping him. Let's see, beat Ugas. Keith Thurman rearranged his face up, but he didn't get him out of there. Ryan got fired by the WBC. He failed the 14-day weight. He didn't even send in his video of his weighing himself. You don't have to do it on the 14th-day point. You have to make a video of you weighing yourself and send it in to the WBC. Ryan didn't even do it. So he got fined. What is wrong with that knucklehead, man? I mean, what's wrong with just weighing yourself and sending the video into the WBC like you're supposed to do? He didn't even do it, man. He got fined. The guy is just a mess, a screw up, man. Plain and simple. Yep. Maybe he was way off. Something, I don't know. Ryan never had problems making weight. He missed on purpose in the Devin fight, remember? So yeah. That's this weekend. Gary Antoine. 3 title fights. Russell, Richardson Hitchens. Maybe they might be next, Richardson Hitchens and Gary Russell. Gary Russell will destroy Richardson Hitchens. Man. Probably stop him. I think Hitchens is a little overrated. Yeah. He just ain't fought the right person yet. I think he's a tad bit overrated. Yeah. Once he getting in with the right person, that title is gone. February 19th in Tokyo, we have a fight. That's around Thursday. Then Sasaki. Everything is still all set up for that fight. You know, sometimes card B. Miller Kuziev on there too, Bektemir. That is a great card. Cena Agrico, Amari Jones, Joshua Edwards. Wow. Josh Warrington from England. This weekend, but we just starting. Big week of boxing history ahead of. Just getting off the ground. Everybody hit the like and subscribe, please. Continue Promoters Week tomorrow with Oscar and Golden Boy. And then at the end, I got 40 reasons why people like Oscar De La Hoya as a fighter. And that part is important, the end, as a fighter. Because it leaves a lot to be desired out of the ring. This was before the pantyhose and the cocaine. Well, it might not have been before everybody knew about it. But 40 reasons why people, boxing fans, like Oscar De La Hoya as a fighter. That last part is important, as a fighter. Because Oscar, he wanted all the smoke. Fighter of the Year for 1995. Fought 4 top 10 opponents that year. They wasn't nobody doing that in the 90s. Now, back in the day, they used to do it. But like Andre Ward said, nowadays, fighting top contenders all the time like that is not good for your health. But Oscar did it in 1995 and beat all of them. Was Fighter of the Year, too. Yep. He could have fought 1 top 10 opponents and 3 lower level. Or maybe 2, but Oscar fought 4 of them. Same year. Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year for 1995. Yep, we're going to talk about him tomorrow. Mainly Golden Boy, not exactly Oscar, you know. Yeah. Mainly going to be about Golden Boy. Okay. But Just Do Boxing is already in progress, so let's go over there. Appreciate everybody that came through today. Tomorrow, Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotion. Mike Mazik, Technique, Azim Shabazz, Mike Rim, Prize Fighter, and Miss Cat. Appreciate everybody. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's The Box Story, bringing you all of that boxing history. Everybody have a great afternoon. I'm out.